Good morning, YouTubers. Okay, so we are out here in the West Texas, where you see a lot of that. There is a lot of heavy equipment out here, and a lot of oil field stuff. This old boy, he looks like he's out of New Mexico. He's sitting there wearing that pickup. He just caught me looking at him. Anyway, we're here at the AllSups. Well, this is Allon, but it's AllSups is what it is. You see this over here? There's all kind of work for the flatbeds out in this area. See, there's another one right there. You got bags or something. That's probably that sand. They do a lot of the bulk sacks. They got a lot of stuff. Look like there's police over there. That might be the police station over there. One of the things out here, you will see. Yeah, that's police over there. And then over there, there's a stock trailer. There's a tanker yanker rolling through with the red tank. I guess they call him a model since he's red. Anyway, yeah. So this is why everybody in Texas like that white truck over there. See that white truck? So it looks like they got them tires on there. Y'all in the city act like that's for to look cool, but out here you're liable to have to drive across out into the scrub brush, and that little bit of height. You know, you think 6 inches of lift is a lot. You know, a city slicker would think that, but the point is to get the bigger radius of tire, so where like the rear end and all your front end components are up higher. So when you're driving through the scrub brush and the rocks and stuff, it'll lean over. Your little saplings and stuff will lean over instead of like your stumps and stuff hitting and really tearing stuff up. Like they call it the pumpkin on your rear end, on your rear axle, where all the gears are at. If you break that thing, you are in trouble, and it's very intricate. They call them planetary gears in the rear end, so that's a big deal. And then of course, I don't even know why I did this. Why did I show this? Of course, we got the Bible. Time to read that Bible. Let's flip it over and see what we got today. I started it out with where was I? Isaiah. I was in Isaiah, and it was a pretty good deal. I guess we'll go Genesis 31. How about that? Let's do Genesis 31. Let's just read along here. See what they were up to. Now Jacob heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob has taken away all that was our father's, and from what was our father's he has acquired all his wealth. And Jacob saw the countenance of Laban, and indeed it was not favorable toward him as before. Then the Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your fathers and to your family, and I will be with you. Okay, quick backstory on this. Jacob worked 7 years to get Leah, wound up with like Rachel, I think. Or no, well, it was Rachel and Leah. One of them, he was supposed to get one of them, but the other one was older. So Laban switched up, and then so he ended up with that wife, and then he switched up, and well, he worked 7 years for Rachel, got Leah, worked another 7 years, got Rachel. And Laban used a technicality. Laban was like a politician kind of guy. He was a prominent figure. And then anyway, he said after the 14 years of working, he said, you know, stay on the ranch, keep working, and I'll give you some of these goats. And he said, okay. And then he said some kind of deal about you keep the speckled goats, and I'll keep the solid colored goats. Well, then they all come out speckled, so he tried to switch it up again. Finally, this old boy left. And then one of these girls snagged his little idols and was sitting on them or whatever, and it said, "Oh, I'm unclean. You can't check my bag or whatever." I think that's about where we're at in the thing, in the storyline. So Jacob called to Rachel and Leah to the field to his flock and said to them, "I see your father's countenance that is not favorable towards me as before, but the God of my father has been with me. And you know that with all my might I have served your father. Yet your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times, but God did not allow him to hurt me. If he said, 'Thus the speckled shall be your wages,'" that's talking about them goats, "then all the flocks bore speckled. And if he said, 'Thus the streaked shall be your wages,' then all the flocks bore streaked. So God has taken away the livestock from your father and given them to me. And it happened at the time when the flocks conceived that I lifted my eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the flocks were streaked, speckled, gray spotted. Then the angel of God spoke to me in a dream, saying, 'Jacob.' I said, 'Here I am.' He said, 'Lift up your eyes now and see. All the rams which leap on the flocks are streaked, speckled, gray spotted, for I have seen all that Laban has done to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed the pillar, and where you made a vow to me. Now arise, get out of this land, and return to the land of your family.' Then Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, 'Is there still any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not considered strangers by him? For he has sold us, he has completely consumed our money. For all these riches which God has taken from our father are really ours and our children's. Now then, whatever God has said to you, do it.' Then Jacob arose and set his sons and his wives on camels and carried away all the livestock and all his possessions which he had gained, and he acquired livestock which he had gained in Padan Aram to go to his, those are places, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan, which is a different place. Now Laban had gone to shear his sheep, so he caught him slipping and run off. Rachel had stolen the household idols, that's what I was talking about, the household idols that were her father's. And Jacob stole away, unknown from Laban, is the Syrian, and all he did not tell him that he intended to flee. So he fled all that he had. He arose and crossed the river and headed towards the mountains of Gilead, and Laban was told on the third day that Jacob had fled. Then he took his brother with him and pursued him 7 days' journey, and he overtook him in the mountains of Gilead. But God had come to Laban in Laban the Syrian in a dream by night, and said to him, "Be careful that you speak to Jacob neither good nor bad." So Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mountain, and Laban, now he's moving with a bunch of stuff, you know what I mean, and the other guy's just riding a horse or whatever. Laban and his brothers pitched in the mountains of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done, that you have stolen away unknown to me, and carried away my daughters like captives taken with the sword? Why did you flee away secretly and steal from me, and not tell me? For I might have sent you away with joy and songs and timbrel and harp, and you did not allow me to kiss my sons and daughters. Now you have done foolishly in so doing. It is in my power to do you harm, but God your father spoke to me last night, saying, 'Be careful that you speak to Jacob neither good nor bad.' And now you have surely gone, because you greatly long for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods?" Then Jacob answered and said to Laban, "Because I was afraid. I said, perhaps you would take your daughters from me by force. With whomever you find your gods, do not let them live. In the presence of our brothers, identify what I have of yours and take it with you." For Jacob drove by itself. That's not the next page. Come on, fingers. For Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. And Laban went to Jacob's tent and to Leah's tent and the two maids' tents. And when he did not find them, then he went out to Leah's tent and entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household idols and put them in the camel's saddle and sat on them. And Laban searched all about the tent, but did not find them. And she said to her father, let it not displease my lord, but I cannot rise for you. For the matter of women is, she's on the period, and that makes her unclean. So if he touched her, he'd have to go sit somewhere for 2 weeks. Well, I don't think it's 2 weeks. Anyway, so he searched, but he did not find that. Then Jacob was angry and rebuked Laban, and Jacob answered him to Laban, what is my trespass? What is my sin? Now, he's saying this in front of everybody, which is a big faux pas. Okay, what is my sin? What is it that you have so hotly pursued me? Although you have searched all my things, what part of your household things have you found? Set it here before my brethren and between me that may judge between us both. These 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried their young, and I have not eaten the rams of your flock. That's what was torn by the beast. I did not bring it to you. I bore the loss of it. You required it from my hand, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. There it was. In the day, the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from my eyes. Thus I have been in your house 20 years, and I served you 14 years for your $2 and 6 years for your flock, and ye have changed my wages 10 times. Unless the God of my father Abraham and the fear of Isaac had been with me, surely now you have sent me away empty-handed. God has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked you last night. And Laban answered and said to Jacob, these daughters are my daughters, these children are my children, this flock is my flock, all that ye see is mine. But what can I do this day that my daughters, or to the children whom they have borne? Now therefore, come, let us make a covenant between you and I, let us be a witness between you and me. And Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. And Jacob said to his brethren, gather stones. And they took the stones and made a heap. And they ate there on the heap. Now that's a big deal when you pile up rocks. I'm not sure all of it, but I piled rocks with a buddy or two because of this story and others. This heap is a witness between me and you this day. Therefore, its name was called Gilead. Also Mizpah, because he said, may the Lord watch between you. May the Lord watch between you and me when we are absent from one another. If you afflict my daughters, or if you take other wives besides my daughters, although no man is with us, see, God is witness between you and me. Okay, so this is not in between everybody. Okay. Then Laban said to Jacob, here's a heap, here's a pillar which I have placed between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness that I will not pass beyond this heap to you, and will not pass beyond this heap, beyond this pillar for harm. The God of Abraham, the God of Nahor, and the God of their fathers judge between us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain and called his brethren to eat bread. And they ate bread and stayed all night on the mountain. And early in the morning Laban rose and kissed his sons and daughters and blessed them. And Laban departed from this place. So Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, this is God's camp. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. Then Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother in the land of Seir and the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, speak thus to my lord Esau, thus your servant Jacob says, I have dwelt with Laban and stayed there until now. I have ox, donkey, flocks, males, female servants. I have sent to tell my lord that I may find favor in your sight. Then the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, we came to your brother Esau, and he also is coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him. So Jacob was greatly afraid. Okay, now Jacob stole Esau's birthright, and the last time he seen him, he was pretty mad about it. So you ain't gonna call the cops, right? You ain't gonna call the cops or go to court. They're out on the prairie, man. They're just yeah. So Jacob was afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that were with him, flocks and herds, camels, 2 companies, He said, if Esau comes to one company and attacks, and the other company which is left will escape. Then Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, the God of my father Isaac, the Lord. That should say Yahweh. Who said to me, return to your country and to your family, and I will deal well with you. I am not worthy lest all of the mercies of all of the truth which you have showed your servant, for I crossed over this Jordan with my staff, and now I have become two companies. Deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother and from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and attack me and the mother and the children. For you said, I will surely treat you well and make your descendants as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. So he longed there the same night and took what came to his hand in the presence of Esau, his brother, 200 female goats, 20 male goats. Okay, so he took a lot of stuff. We're going to shut her down there because it's a lot more than I can read right now. But we see a giant takeaway of do right, keep working. God's got your back. God sees what you're doing. Doesn't matter if they rip you off or whatever. I have roofed so many houses, never got a dime. I've worked day after day without nothing or whatever. And, you know, years of going to jail on purpose. Because that's where the people would sober up. Like, you can't witness to a lot of these guys because they are intoxicated. But when they go to jail, they sober up. Look at that sun coming out. Can you see that? So when they go to the hooscow, they ain't got their beer or smoke or whatever, their, you know, intoxicants. And then they get away from their people, right? So a bigger part of it, even, this is going to sound crazy, but a bigger part of their problem is their friends and family. Getting out of the environment is more important than getting away from the substance. But in that moment, you got those two vibes, and then you got, oh crap, I'm in trouble, and then, oh crap, I'm going to prison. Okay, so they'll get a little bit religious. That's when they realize that there's room in there where they get a holy crap, like a holy fear. And then they're like, God, I need your help. Okay, so we see him. He's out on the prairie. He's working, what did it say, 18 years, 20 years? And this dude has built up to the point that he's got flocks and herds and male and female servants, 2 wives. He's a good dude. He's doing his thing. And everything's legit. Everything's legit. And this dude is like, in fear for his life. One of his wives is apparently a thief. And, you know, and this dude's just doing the best he can. You know what I mean? And thank God that, you know, she was slick enough that didn't get caught, get killed or whatever like that. And this guy's like, man. Then he sees his brother, you know what I mean? So Jacob, later his name gets changed to Israel. So that's God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Which Jacob became Israel. He had 12 sons, and that's the 12 tribes of Israel. So this is extremely significant that you understand some of these things. Now, when you read the genealogies, it's just boring. You know, Joe begat Billy, begat Sam, begat Ralph, begat Abigail, whatever. And, you know, it's like, I don't think that progression happens anywhere. But when you read about their life story, you know what I mean? And that's in Genesis right there. So the hearing about the story of the family, you know what I mean? And like when you see some of this stuff, you'll see how a righteous man will carry himself. But you see the prayer of the righteous man under all these circumstances. So for our practical today, I want you to pray about what's bothering you. Okay? Yeah, you've been working or whatever like that. You know what I mean? You've been out there. You know, it's been hard and you've been diligent. You know what I mean? Keep going. Keep being diligent. It's that diligence. It's that everyday discipline. You know, the disciple, discipline. Disciple, discipline, right? And then now we got the Holy Ghost, you know what I'm saying? So that's a good deal. And I don't really know what the difference is between just talking straight to God, the way these guys are talking to God in dreams, and then like they would pray or whatever, they would hear him talking to them or whatever, and then now like, that happens and everybody calls it the Holy Spirit or whatever. So like, was that happening the whole time? Did we always have a conscience? We get into split hairs or whatever, but I'm gonna tell you this right now. If I go out here and I'm driving down this road, I see some ice on this road, I'm going to say, God, help me keep this truck on the road. Send your angels to hold this truck straight and in the lane with good traction. Whatever it is, you know what I mean? I will ask God to help me first. Don't get in a bind over your head and then ask God. Wake up and ask God for help and mercy and encourage yourself with a study. How does this fit my day? How can I keep going? How can I share this light with other people? How can I be this random dude at the coffee pot at the gas station that's just like, inspires somebody to read the word for themselves, I guess you guys are getting the 5-minute ministry today. I mean, I told them a little bit in there, but it was, there was like 8 people waiting for coffee. I didn't even think about it. You know what I mean? And then like there's one guy left, I start telling Jesus jokes. I was like, I guess I should have told these jokes a minute ago when there's 8 people standing here. He's like, yeah, you'd have probably got more traction. But then it turned out it was personal for him because over a decade since the guy read the Bible. And even longer since he'd been to church. And I said, I'm out here on this road. I talk to a lot of people. And I say, when'd you go to church last? Oh, whatever. How many times your grandpa go to church? Oh, every Wednesday and twice on Sunday. Well, was life better then or now? Oh, excuse me. Man, I tell you what, I'm burping every time I make a video. I won't burp for 3 days. Make a video, start burping. So I says to him, was it better in your grandpa's day or now? He said, oh, way better then. I said, maybe you ought to go to church. Just try it out. I was like, you realize like there is dudes that are just like, I mean, they are extremely good presentations. I have seen so much preaching that is just like the power of the United States. There was even like a communist that came over here and he looked at the industry and he said, no, we got industry. It ain't that. He looked at the schools. He says, no, our schools are better. It's not that. He looked at the land and stuff. And he said, no, we got land too. It's not that. He looked at the geography. He said, well, the geography's set up pretty good. And with distances and stuff. So that was good, and but that ain't it. And then somebody invited him to church. And this guy was a communist from Russia trying to actually figure out why America was a superpower. Okay? Like, the word is super power. There's another word we have called supernatural. Okay? So, like, God really made us. We really have a book that we can read. And it'll tell us all about it. And if we operate within its boundaries, like, it is amazing. Like, for real. For real. Okay, so this guy goes to church or whatever like that, and then when he went at the end of the thing, he was like, oh, I got to beat this guy because there's like he gave a good sermon, right? And it's something we take for granted. We don't realize that the rest of the world don't have this. Okay, so this guy give a good sermon, right? And then he goes and he talks to him or whatever, and we're not talking about the internet people. We're not talking about the TV people, all this kind of stuff. We're talking about just random Baptist preacher or whatever in a small town. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter what the sign says, because they're all different and they all tend to hold services slightly different or whatever. But I'm telling you, I have visited over 10,000 churches and I have seen over 12,000 excellent preachers. It is absolutely ridiculous when you go to a tent revival or something like that, and these random, like, frumpy, kind of, like, dirty people will just, like, I mean, you can tell they're dressed up and they look like me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not exactly wearing a suit. And then they'll get up there and they'll just deliver this power of God. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so this guy stays after church. And he starts talking to this dude and everything. He's like, man, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And he tells him, he's like, I'm trying to figure out why America is a superpower, blah, blah, blah. This is what I'm here to do, blah, blah, this, that, and everything. And of course, the preacher's man is like, well, obviously you're a communist, but we're supposed to take the evangelism to the whole world. Yes. So the preacher man's like, you know, giving him all the resources, giving him just total game. Like, here's the Bible, here's a hymnal, take it back to your country. Whatever, we love you. And then the guy says, I'm so glad he said, I'm so glad I met you. He said, do you think there's another one like you? And the guy smiles and he says, there's 14 preachers just like me in this town. He said, in this town? Well, what's the population of this town? He's like, 22,000. He's like, in all of my country, there's no preacher like this. And here you have a dozen or more. Or whatever it was, you know. So that's like why America is cool. You know what I mean? And like, these politicians can't say the truth. The truth is the separation of church and state is because the government messes everything up. Like, the church is always supposed to be running things. Like, if you don't have these principles before God, before our Creator, we have rights given to us by our Creator, so that we can act appropriately. One of those rights is to know Him. But if they write that down, then somebody will take that and they'll make some kind of funky business or whatever and try to use that to get over on people. That's what Jesus was mad about. Religion is BS. It's complete bologna slices, bull slobber, and bad words. Religion is BS. And Jesus said this is BS, and that's what they killed Him for. That is the root of it. The highest form of government. The highest form of government. We see here God talking to Jacob, and Jacob had a wife. Well, he had two wives. It's holy matrimony. And we clearly see that via two wives, he produced the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, if that's not the chosen people or whatever like that, I don't know who is. I don't know what is. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sick and tired of our culture acting like evil is good and good is evil. You know what I'm saying? There is nothing. I mean, the patriarch, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Here we see Jacob, and he has two wives. And out of those two wives, he produced 12 kids. And I think there might have been a girl in there too. But it 12 sons. Okay? And then go get two wives. I dare you. Go get two wives and go on Maury Povich and get a public, get a cultural assessment. Is this good or bad? Just, if you're married, go ask your wife. Say, wife, I'm thinking about taking on a second wife. What do you think? And see how that goes for you. I dare you right now. I dare you. I double dog dare you. Go try to explain to any woman in the United States that two wives is legit in the eyes of God. Let them go for about 30 minutes. Let them explain to you how wrong you are. And then read what I just read. Say, what about Jacob? You know what I mean? And then all of them. It was rare. It was very rare. You know what I mean? And they'll start justifying and this, that, and the other, whatever, like that. Anyway, like, if you're married, which I am married, you will rapidly figure out that you're taking a vow to God that lasts forever. Okay? So if you get divorced and then you remarry, how many wives is that? Because you're still alive. Okay? So some people get married 5 or 6 times. You see what I'm saying? And then there's like this thing about, and it's all structured. Like, you can go back and read the law. Like, they in the New Testament, they're talking about the law. And they're saying if one guy died, and then like the kinsman redeemer would be his brother. So if he died, he didn't have no sons. There's nobody to inherit the land. So this woman needed a male heir to inherit the land, because that's the way God set it up. Because dudes are logical, not emotional. Once you put the woman in the place of a man, the devil can get in there through emotion, because it feels good to take care of everybody. Where a dude's like, we got X amount of supply, we got too much population, somebody's got to go. You know what I mean? Like, it's not your average woman that's going to go out there and put down a rabid dog. I'll just say it like that. And then, like, if you're on the prairie and you got your flocks and herds, and another group on the prairie decides to take your stuff, like you go hunting and you come back, they burnt the house and they took your stuff. You got to go get your folks, and hopefully your stuff too, but definitely your folks. You know what I mean? It's like, anyway. So these are all concepts that are Western concepts that are based on the Bible. In the Middle East over there, I seen two guys. This was on TV. We'll say that it was on TV. But there was two guys with AK-47s, and there's like 30 chicks out there, and kids, and like maybe about half a dozen goats or whatever. It's kind of like an apartment complex. Anyway, these two dudes, you can see them. So these two dudes with two AK-47s, all right, and there's probably 30 chicks, a couple kids. Sorry, I had to plug in my phone.